Good morning, everybody. We're gonna get started without Blake this morning. He's hung up in traffic, trying to get here, so we're gonna go ahead and get started and cover some of the items we cover ourselves without Blake. With that being said, Q, you open us up with prayer.
Yeah. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you this morning to give thanks for this day, this gorgeous weather we're having this week. Lord, we just ask that you would watch over us all in our life this summer, just keep us safe. And Lord, we just thank you for your many blessings in this world, and just overall, Lord, we just ask that all of our things we do in this life, in this meeting, everywhere in our families, that we just remember that overall, your theme is love, and we just act accordingly. Lord, we ask for all these things in your precious and holy name.
Amen. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. As everybody, call us out of order. Let me welcome our elected officials, Vernon and Tony back there. And, maybe I knew the elected day going by. But anyway, thank y'all for coming this morning. Appreciate that. All right, has everybody looked over the minutes from last month? Any questions about them?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? All righty. I had a chance to look over the financial statement there. Anything that jumps out at us, Chuck, that we need to know about?
No, there's just a few things that we've got questions with the auditor on, just for some verification on the infrastructure and construction progress. That's pretty much it.
What about all the asterisks? What's that, what are they for?
Those are all question items that we have questions for the auditor. The trustee cash, I think Blake figured out that's actually the money is still left on the bond.
May I ask a question about the auditor? Chuck, it seems like, is it hard to talk to him? It seems like we always have things on the, items on the agenda that we can't, or financial statement, that we can't get the answers or get him to correct.
Part of it was the auditor, part of it was me, because of the fact of tax season, trying to get to it. They sent me the adjustments about a month ago. I just got around to checking them over within the last week or two. So I called her. She sent me the reversing entries. We put those in, and then Blake and I were waiting to go over this. And once we did, then we've got to contact them. They also went through tax season, same as I. Plus the fact that their firm merged with a larger firm. So there's a few variables. It's still been better than it was in prior years.
Who is the auditor?
Yeah.
Tammy,
Grace. I can't remember the other name, but we have a new auditor this year, this past year. Grace.
My question was, it just seems like it's so hard for you to get the information you need to prepare the financial statements, but I know they went through tax time, but it looks like she would know the importance of this too, doesn't it, Chuck?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Anybody got any other questions about it? Make sure I'm not clear as mud on these answers. So now, why are they on there again?
these are some questions that we want to get verification as to what exactly is going into those numbers, like with the infrastructure and the construction in progress. Those are some, I just want to verify that that's actually, because bear in mind that this audit was for the year ending in June of 15. We've not done, I mean, we're getting ready to come up on a year and we're going to have to do another one. So a lot of this construction progress is the work that was being done that was held up out of the airport. I just want to verify the numbers.
When does our fiscal year start and when does it end?
It's July 15th.
Okay.
County.
All right. Anybody else got any questions?
Will you think we'll have all the answers by the next meeting?
I shall hope so.
All right. Any motion approved?
I make a motion to approve the, for the airport auditor's names.
Financial statement. Okay. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, I guess the lights don't like to get that one right there, the 5-year master agreement with Hope. Approve the work authorization for the 10-year environmental study. I'll get Blake too. got any information about the special event? Anybody here representing?
No, we
that?
approved a couple,
Yeah.
and they've already had them, so.
This is a-
There was a special, was it?
Right, this is another one.
This
This
is
is
another
Gail
one.
Cross, and she's here to tell you about the event that she's looking to get approved.
And
We-
what was your name again?
Gail Cross,
Gail Cross.
CROSS.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am, sorry.
We're with the Goldwing Road Riders Association. It is a national, international association. Our home office is out of Phoenix. What we are is subsidiaries of that home office. And what we are 51% of our charter is to educate our motorcycle riders. And what we're looking for is a space where we can do riding classes. And the airport is a perfect location because we need at least an acre of space to teach the different courses. Murray Kale, who is the master instructor, can explain a little bit more to you about what happens in the course itself if you have questions. But basically, we're looking for a 8-hour session on the apron or one of the larger spaces.
On the pad, usually it's tarmac. Basically what it is, it's our course is designed just like the state course in order to get licensed for a driver's license permit. We do not have authorization from the state to give the people a piece of paper to go get their license. But it's more of a renewal and a refresher for our members. We're not-for-profit corporation. We don't charge our members a dime to do it. We don't make any money off of it. I'm a volunteer. All the other instructors and everybody are volunteers for it. We use the airport up at Rome. Matter of fact, next weekend I'll be teaching a course up there in Rome. We use the airport in Rome, and it's perfect for what we need because all of them are relatively flat. You've got runoff area that is usually flat, so if somebody does take off, they're on flat ground. We've never had that problem. And what I would like to see is like they did in Rome, the airport commission gave us permission, and then we worked with the manager of the airport of what dates are available for him and us to do it. We have insurance for it, the whole 9 yards. And it's all members that take the course. It's not the public because the state of Georgia won't let us offer it to the public because they make money off of that course.
You have liability insurance.
Yes, sir. We
Does
attach
that
it to-
include us
Yes, sir.
on it when you come
Yeah.
to?
Yes, sir. It includes
Has Blake explained to you all the liability that goes along with having an operation up there at the airport?
We have not had an opportunity to talk to Blake. We've only been doing, our conversations have only been through Yolanda.
Yeah, well, that's stuff like furnish your bathrooms
Yep,
and have a pod pickup, furnish your own trash pickup,
we do that now.
and, those kinds.
Yeah.
Do what?
They bring in porta potties or do they use our restroom? or-
I-
They bring in
we've-
porta potties.
The average class size is 12 people, so we would be hopefully using your facilities.
Would be.
Yes,
That's the biggest we can have is 12 people.
yeah, we can only.
Only 12 bikes, that's as large as the class can be. And
So how many
usually
times a
it's-
day with 12? Is that for all day long?
Yeah.
12 people?
Yes, that's
8
it.
hours? So we're gonna be a class per hour?
Actually, the classroom part is 3 hours, which we can do off
We can do-
the airport area. Because the classroom is 3 hours, and actually the range is 5 hours.
Well, you're
Our-
welcome to use the FBO for that. We got all the seating up there for it and everything, so you're
Our
welcome to
chapter
use
is
that.
also a member of the Paulding County Chamber, so if we can't use the facilities, the office, or the conference facilities at the airport, we could always arrange to use the meeting room at the chamber. So that part, the classroom part
You're not
is
welcome
either
to
or.
use the FBO. Now, what's the
You say
charity?
go wing, But do you also allow Harleys?
Yes.
We're pretty,
There's no fighting that goes on.
the gentleman rides one.
The Gold Wing Road Riders Association is open to all bikes.
Yeah.
We don't discriminate like some other clubs do. We even have scooters. You know.
This lady drives a Bergman, so.
So, I mean, we open it up to all bikes, and all of them can take the course. It's just as long as they're a member of Gold Wing Road Riders Association.
What's the cost of the cover?
Zero, we don't charge a dime. Once you join GW, our charter with IRS is that like 70% of our business is education for motorcycles, and this is part of our education. MSF, I don't know if y'all have heard of them, but it's Motorcycle Safety Foundation. They're a national, they're really the grandmother of all motorcycle safety stuff. And I was, back in the 70s, I was on their board to help them get started and design the classes and all of that. And this is written very close to their stuff. It's nationally world known. And we do it worldwide. And we've got classes in Europe, in India, all over.
Well, how do you accomplish any charity out of it if they don't charge?
Well, we're not, it's not.
That's the charity part of it, y'all do it for the nothing?
Yeah, that's,
Right.
it's part of being a member. As a member of GWRRA, I pay a dues to the home office. My chapter is a not-for-profit, and there we run 50/50s and that kind of stuff. But for the education, all the education classes that we run are free to us so that we can continue our skills, improve our skills, because as an aging group of motorcyclists, we need to continue to improve our skills and work up the rusty ones, and that's what these classes are about.
Okay,
And it's all low-speed stuff. We don't, I mean, the fastest we get going on the course is about 17 to 20 miles an hour. So it's all done low speed. There's no, you know, taking off or drag strip.
no, you absolutely.
Slower than that, you just turn over.
Well, it's, you know, the thing is if you can ride slow, it's easy to ride fast.
Yeah.
And that's what we concentrate on.
Well, you absolutely can't use the taxiway or the roadway for that.
Right.
No.
Right. We usually use tarmac. Like at Rome, there's a big tarmac.
Get a copy of your insurance to this man right here, Tom Cable's office, and let him look over it. If he's got any questions, put a contact number on that for him where he can call y'all. And,
Did I understand that you would, you know, work your classes around the availability at the airport?
Yes, ma'am. Chances are good that we probably wouldn't have 2 classes a year.
Is that, okay, that was that question.
Maybe 3, because we do trikes also.
What day of the week typically?
Typically, they're on Saturday. Typically, they're on Saturday, and we can do them on Sundays too. Typically, it's on Saturday.
Calvin, I'll make a motion to approve pending a favorable response from Rome Airport.
Okay, all righty. Have you got a contact number at the Rome Airport?
Mike Meadows.
Mike Matthews.
Okay, well, you make a phone call for us. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause we've had to change dates several times with them.
Okay, now, we're only gonna approve one event. I know you said you wanna have 2, but we're only gonna approve one. Take a look and see next time, okay?
Sure.
All right.
All right.
We also, for our markings for where to turn and all that, we use regular street chalk. So after a rain, it disappears. There's no damage of the runway or anything, or tarmac or anything.
And we use small cones
Yeah, which I take the cones back. But,
for us.
we don't degrade the area at all.
Well,
And we
I
clean up.
will amend my motion and say upon approval of Rome and Ellis made a good suggestion that we're added on the insurance.
You have additional insured.
We can do that. We do that with Ron.
okay, you don't got any questions or comments about it? Need a motion to approve or disapprove?
And did it.
Okay, you're done. Need a second.
Second.
All in favor? All right, now what's the date?
October 8th is what we were looking at, sir,
October 8th.
depending upon whether it's available or not available.
Right.
We are flexible.
Okay. Make sure about a week ahead you give us a heads up
Yes, sir.
on what you're gonna do and what day you do. What day does that fall on, Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay, Blake, we got down to number 4, approve the 5-year master plan, so,
The 5-year master agreement.
yeah, master plan.
Yeah, this is the result of our reselection process. As you all recall, we're going through a reselection process for a new engineer of record for the airport, and that's required by the FAA. The FAA requires us to do it a minimum of every 5 years. You can do it sooner than that if you'd like. They recommend 3 to 5 years. Ever since we started work on the airport back in, I guess, 2003, we've done 5 years. So we went through that selection process. Several of you were on the selection committee. To be honest, I can't remember right this second who all was on it, who wasn't. So if you were on there, you knew you were on there. And we ended up with 2 proposals. The selection committee went through and reviewed those proposals, and it was unanimous to select Holt Consulting for the service. The master agreement really is just outlays, I guess, how we will contract with them for work over that 5-year period. So the master agreement itself, though, there's no cost to that. That's not anything that costs anything. It just lays out the details of the agreement. And what we do is, of course, anytime we have engineering work that needs to be done, then we do a work authorization that'll come back to you every time for approval. And of course, we have one of those on the budget today as well. So we've got Jacob Redwine here from Holt Consulting. I think almost all of you know Jacob. Jacob, of course, was with Michael Baker for a while. Now he's been with Holt Consulting for what, 3 years now? Seems like 3 weeks, but I guess it's 3 years. So Jacob is certainly familiar with the airport. He's familiar with many of you. If you've got any questions for him, I'm sure he'll be glad to address them. But again, they were selected unanimously by the committee. So I'd like to go ahead and get them approved today, since our previous agreement with Michael Baker Group runs out in, I think, 5 days. So this agreement takes effect as of June 1 and runs for a period of 5 years. Any questions on that? Also point out that this was a combined proposal by Holt Consulting and Croy Engineering. So Holt is the lead engineering firm on this proposal. However, Croy Engineering is also on the team. So we not only get access to Jacob and his firm, which does exceptional work, but we also get access to Croy Engineering as well. I know a lot of you are familiar with Croy and all the work that they've done in Baldwin County. So.
Okay. You got any questions for Blake on this?
I do, Blake, and you probably told me before or mentioned it. Now, who was on the committee that made this decision?
If you're on the committee, I'm going to raise your hand because I can't remember who all was on the committee. There we go. So we got these 4. We also had Ed Hepler, who is with the FBO, because we wanted somebody from the FBO on there as well. Robert Reynolds, which I don't know if Robert's here or not, but Robert was originally on the committee, and he actually ended up having to withdraw from the committee because he was under contract with Croy to do some other work. Since they were on one of the teams, he had to withdraw from the committee.
Thank you, Blake.
Blake, explain to me why the FAA requires us to have this.
Why they require us to have an engineer of record? It goes back many decades, but essentially they want us to have somebody who is pre-qualified to do airport engineering work that's on retainer, so to speak, so that when something needs to be done at the airport, whether it's a project that's in our CIP or capital improvement program, or whether it's a repair project, that we have somebody on hand who can design that work and design it to FAA standards. That's actually, as we all know, that's where the money comes from. It comes from FAA, and everything has to be designed to FAA standards. So FAA wants to make sure that We're not using Jimmy Joe Bob Engineering out of Braswell, that we've got somebody who's actually pre-approved to do airport work and that they understand the FAA's design criteria. So that's essentially why they require that.
We didn't have anybody locally who did that.
Actually, I'm not sure that there are any local engineering firms anymore. There used to be a couple, but I think they've all gone out of business. But
Yeah.
there've never been any that qualified to do airport work.
Okay. That's all I got. Anybody else got anything? Any motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve.
I second.
All in favor? All right, approve work authorization for 10 years of environmental monitoring.
Year 10, not 10 years.
10 years. Year 10, okay. Yeah. Seems like 10.
It has been 10 years because this is the final year of our monitoring. Going all the way back to 2005, when we submitted the environmental assessment, the original environmental assessment to construct the airport, to build the airport. One of the criteria by U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Corps of Engineers was that we do water quality monitoring in the area around the airport for 10 years, starting in 2006. So we've done that for 9 years. This is the 10th and final year. Previously, it was of course done by Michael Baker because they were our engineer of record. So now we have a new engineer of record. So this 10th and final year will be done by Holt Consulting. As I mentioned earlier, Jacob previously was with Michael Baker. He understands the process. He knows what this is. This is not anything new to him. So this is, again, the final and last year. And this is reimbursable by FAA, so we'll receive 90% of this back at some point in time, potentially this year, but not necessarily this year.
What was the cost for that place?
$56,000. I think the first year that we did it, the cost was about $40,000. So over that 10-year period, it has gone up a little bit, but considering it's 10 years, it really hasn't gone up that much, I don't think. So, any other questions?
No? Don't have anything. Yeah. Motion approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, we've already approved a special event. Tough one here. Okay, Blake, explain this next, number 7, airport manager job description.
I took the liberty of putting together a job description for the airport authority to use for my position. I'll freely admit I stole it from Cobb County and modified it to fit us. So borrowed it. I did ask permission. I did call Carl Van Hagel, airport manager of Cobb County, asked me for permission. So I guess I really didn't steal it. However, I've modified it to more closely fit our airport, and I sent it out to some of you. I don't recall if I sent it out to everyone. I think I sent it out to the chair and vice chair. If you want to take a look at it, I've got a copy here. And, you don't necessarily need to approve this today. I just want to make sure that you had it, and you may want to take it and spend a little time looking at it. But did feel like we needed to have something in place as you move forward to look for a new airport manager. I felt like it was important for you to have something, so just took the liberty of putting that together.
Okay. Y'all who don't know this, Blake is leaving the airport. We're going to have a little ceremony for him after closed session. So hang around for that. Okay. All righty. Is anybody, we need to let everybody read it before we approve it?
I think
Think
we do.
so.
I think we need, it'd be prudent to, I mean, if you want to approve it as a guideline or something, or as a draft, it'd be fine, but for the final job description, I think we need to study it and
I
maybe
did
make
too.
some
I agree with
modifications.
that 100%.
I received it last night.
Let me make one recommendation. Since you've already advertised the position and it's already out, you're probably going to have some people calling and asking for a copy of the job description. So you may want to go ahead and approve it conditional upon final review, so that you don't have to wait a full month to get it done. But just a recommendation, yes.
We did get it last night, I believe.
Did I send it last night?
Yes.
I can't remember.
I've already got it read it, and I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
The only thing you didn't put on there, they need to be a lawyer.
Tom gave me $10, asked me to leave that off.
Okay, I'm good with that, because I have read it already, I read it the first of the week, so I'm good with it. It's lengthy and very detailed.
And if you do approve it, obviously, it's always subject to being amended.
All right, then motion.
What did you
approved.
say, Tom?
I said if you approve it today, you could amend it. I know all of you haven't had a chance to go through it, so even if you approved it today, in order to do your interviews and processes like that, you can still amend the job description at any time.
How would that work
You
after we, well, you know, they've already done the interviews and
Just approve an
everything? How
amendment
would
to
you
it.
Go back then and say, well,
We want you to do that.
Yeah, the job description is always subject to change. I mean, you can change the job description
we
anytime.
have
Now,
to
unless-
vote on that?
Yes. you
Okay,
got to vote.
all right.
Okay, need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the job description.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty, okay. All right, Blake, budget.
All right, we don't normally do budgets in May, but again, I didn't want to leave you in a lurch with potentially having somebody new come in and having to try to put together a budget without any history. So I did go ahead and put together a budget. Again, this is not something that you necessarily have to approve today, but I wanted to make sure that you had it. So this is. No, I sent it to you last night. So I sent it to you last night. If you didn't get a copy of it, then I can make copies of it for you. It is obviously based on last year's budget. It does reflect a $25,000 reduction in funding from the county, which is part of the intergovernmental agreement that was put into place several years ago. That contribution from the county actually goes down each year as the airport attempts to become self-sufficient and stand alone. So it, there's nothing out of the ordinary on here, and I'm not going to go through it line item by line item. I don't think there's a necessity to do that. It looks very much like the previous budgets we've approved for the last several years, just with modifications based on changes that we saw in the previous year. Most of those have to do with professional services, accounting, legal fees, and airfield maintenance, which are our largest line items by far. So.
Well, I recommend this, that who owns it? Does everybody sand study it?
No, we
So like last time?
got it.
All right, we'll table this to next month. And, but I appreciate you furnishing this for Blake so much, but we'll give us time to study it.
Absolutely.
And, because maybe the salaries may change, something may change, between now and 30 days, so.
Yep.
So let's just table this thing and move on, okay?
Absolutely.
All
We
right.
need a motion to table.
Yeah, that's right.
Make a motion, we table this agenda.
That's all.
All in favor?
Next week.
To the next meeting.
The next meeting, that's correct.
All righty. It's been brought to my attention that the Board of Commissioners is wanting to move us back to the airport. So I promised them a vote on this thing and put it to y'all to vote whether to go back up there or not. And after talking with my chairman, which I honor dearly as the chairman of this county, he requested that he would be okay with it, but he was not going to be able to come to the meeting. And that's not going to get it since he's the chairman of the county. And I respect him so much for that position. I respect the job and I respect the person. So, but I am going to put it to a vote and see what y'all want to do. And to honor my promise to these guys that I'd put it to a vote. So, but with that being said, anybody want to discuss it?
Well, Calvin, we moved it here to make sure that people went through metal detection. On Facebook, I got a threat, and it said how my brains would look as wallpaper on the airport walls.
That's inaccurate.
And then, my house was broken into. And me and my wife take this very seriously, and from time to time, these meetings become very emotional, and people sort of lose it. Now, I've been to meetings up there independent of this airport. I've been to meetings here, I walk in parking lots. But my dear wife has said she does not want me to go to a meeting up there in a hostile environment and not put people through metal detection. Now, I've been told we can carry the marshals up there, we can put wands up there, and then people can walk through. And I think that's ridiculous when we have metal detection here. For our own safety, several of us had our houses broken into. You know, for my peace of mind, if y'all want to move this up to the airport in January, that's fine. But I just request, and I've also requested the Board of Commissioners that if their wives felt like their lives were in danger, I would do that to them. So I would ask you not to move this meeting, at least not until January.
I have anything, sir.
Well, I do, and mine is a totally selfish reason. I don't want to go that far. It's a long way. I mean, I guess I travel further than anybody from Hiram, but that's a long way, and I'd rather not have to go there.
What's the reason for the Board of Commissioners wanting us to move together?
Well, the first time I was asked was because the taxpayers having to pay for us to use this. And of course, I'm a taxpayer. I'm a big taxpayer in this county. And the second reason I heard is because of something that was done before a meeting that was videoed. So, you know, and I understand that I'm the kind of guy that I don't mind them fighting the commercial end of it. I have no problem with that. But when they do all the personal tax, that's what makes it so wrong. I mean, because the people don't deserve this. And because we just was trying to do our job. That's all we were trying to do, was grow this airport. And we've been persecuted now Waste Sunday. I'm one of the ones that's been broken into, not one time, but 3 times. And my identity's been stolen. They tapped my gate where they could come and go through my gate. And it cost a lot of money to have all that changed and took out. I've had to change my whole security system has changed. So, you know, like I said, I don't have a problem in the world for this anti-commercial. I do not have a problem with that. They got their beliefs and I got mine. But my issue is when they attacked us personally, this vicious stuff that comes on Facebook, it's so uncalled for. Because it's all we're doing is trying to do our job. And we've done nothing wrong. We've done nothing wrong except try to grow this county. And that's it. We don't get paid for this job. We don't get anything. It's a persecution for trying to do something good. Not for us, but for our grandchildren and our children's children. So, you know, someday it'll all come out that this is the greatest thing that ever happened to Paulding County. May not be in my lifetime, y'all's lifetime, but someday it will. Because it was a great idea, and I got to stand behind it. And like I said, I honor my chairman. I do honor his position and him as a person. So, all right, let's vote on it. Need a motion for a vote.
I have a question before we place the motion.
Okay.
This board is a legally established board by the state constitution. Is it even possible for the county government to kick us out of this public building? So are we voting to leave under duress, or are we just voting for our opinion? I'm asking you, I guess, Tom, can we be evicted from this building?
I haven't researched it thoroughly. You are a government entity. This is not a constitutional creation. This is a creation of the state of Georgia. You led the General Assembly. You are a part of government. You're a political subdivision of the state of Georgia. However, I think the Board of Commissioners controls this building. So without doing any extensive research, my gut reaction would be that the Board of Commissioners would determine who could utilize this facility from a purely legal standpoint. They have some other questions about whether it would be practical to do so, whether it would be efficient use of government facilities. But I think the end result would probably be the Board of Commissioners as the sort of the operators of this building.
Landlord.
Right, the landlord of this building could do that if they chose to.
So is the motion to voluntarily leave, Calvin? Is that the motion that's being brought?
Yeah, let's just look at it like that. You know, we don't like to just say the word we've been forced out because, you know, it just makes it look like puts another scar on the county, in my opinion. And so let's just say we've been asked to leave it. So what do they do now, Tom?
Well, right now, you're here, so I mean, you need a motion to change it if you want to. If you don't want to move, you don't need to take any action, but if you choose to change the location, you have to make a motion to change the location, and then we have to notify the public where the new meeting place is, if there's going to be a new meeting place.
So what do we do first? Motion to stay?
Well, you don't need a
Motion
motion.
to
You don't need a motion. You already have meeting place identified to the public, so the public knows where your next meeting is. If you choose to change that, you've got to make a motion to change the meeting places, and we have to notify the public where that meeting place is.
So what I need to do, just ask the show of hands?
No, you just, first, right now, there's no motion on the table for you to even consider. If somebody wants to make a motion to change the meeting location, then they would make a motion, it would need a second and then an affirmative vote of this body. Without a motion, you just continue along in the same position that you're in now, which means your meeting place has been identified as this room.
Well, I'm still confused on how you want me to handle it because
You don't have a motion, there's nothing.
If
there's no
any
vote.
member of the
if
authority.
there's any member out here want to leave and go to their back to the airport.
Calvin, I'll just say one thing. I'm not hearing any real justification to make any change whatsoever. And from my opinion, safety being the overall marching theme, if any one person is uncomfortable with this meeting being held anywhere else, then I don't believe there's any prudence in entertaining any change whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Well, looks like we're going to stay here down to the rent comes due anyway. All righty. Motion going to closed session, discuss real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Make a motion to go into closed session
For
for real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Second.
Say,
All in favor?
pretty good last night.
Well, I mean, you want me to start going through security, I'll do it.
Pretty good last night.
I think all of you should go through security.
Everyone.
Well, I don't know whether y'all are voting or
As
not.
far as memorial, yes, we've
Well, we've already had
put it
security
back
checked
up,
out on
so-
Huh? You wanna make sure I ain't tough. But you walk right straight through security.
All right, we've
That
already,
makes a lot of sense.
we've already addressed that, sir. Thank you for your concern.
Did you record me? It was mine.
I've got another right to sign, huh?
Closed session. We need a motion to get back in open session.
Make a motion to go back into open session.
All right. Well, Tom, this is kind of a bad day for old Calvin. Blake is this is his last airport authority meeting. This is his last week as our director. And so Tom's going to read a resolution, and then we're going to present Blake something.
All right, this is a resolution of the Paulding County Airport Authority, whereas the Paulding County Airport Authority was created by an act of the Georgia General Assembly, and whereas said authority is charged with the operation and management of Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport and Silver Condon Field, and whereas Blake Swafford, a Paulding County native who served as an employee of the Paulding County Airport Authority and as director of the airport for the past several years, and whereas prior to his role with the authority, Mr. Swafford served Paulding County, Georgia in several roles directly affecting the airport, including being the head of the county's airport department and head of its Department of Transportation. And whereas the identification of the site, the purchase of the land, the development of the airport, and the construction of the terminal building were all began and completed under the direction of Mr. Swafford. And whereas Mr. Swafford has been instrumental in numerous improvements to the airport since its construction. And whereas Mr. Swafford has promoted the airport through its marketing efforts and his involvement in aviation agencies such as being named as the president of the Georgia Airport Association for 2011. And whereas Mr. Swafford has guided the authority through a Part 139 application to the Federal Aviation Administration for commercial services to the airport. And whereas Mr. Swafford has provided calm professional leadership in the face of public opposition that oftentimes resulted in personal attacks. And whereas the Paulding County Airport Authority wishes to acknowledge Mr. Swafford's efforts on its behalf, now therefore be it resolved by the Paulding County Airport Authority that Blake Swafford be recognized for his leadership, his determination, his knowledge and skill, and for his years of service to the Airport Authority, the airport, and the people of Paulding County, Georgia. So resolved this 25th day of May, 2016.
You know, in 1999, I made a phone call to Carol Comer, who was with the DOT of the state of Georgia. And I said, Carol, I want to build an airport in Paulding County. She said, well, you're in luck. You got one of the smartest guys in the state of Georgia working there in Paulding County. So shortly thereafter, one of the commissioners called me up and said, we're going to form an airport authority, and we want you to be chairman of it. And then I met Blake. And it's been a ride. I mean, it's been a long ride, 16 years. And I've seen him grow up and mature into one of the most godly men I've ever known. He's a great family man, super. How we will replace him is beyond me for the money we were paying him and the things he had to put up with in this county. But, you know, it's been worth every bit of it, Blake Swafford. I've enjoyed you totally. With that being said, there's your card, and we got you something very, very special to hang on your new office wall that says, glasses on, for your leadership, hard work, dedication to the future of Paulding County, the Paulding County Airport Authority recognizes Blake Swafford for his contributions to building the first new airport in the state of Georgia in over 3 decades. Isn't that wonderful, y'all? That's it. We need a motion to adopt that resolution. Tom did a great job on writing.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Any second? All in favor? All righty. All righty. Any more questions or comments this morning?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Thank you. take that position. That's